Dr. T here with episode 5. What is a sociological imagination and how can it help us solve social problems? So, this is a concept that comes from the social thinker and writer C. Wright Mills from the mid 20th century. And he talked about the sociological imagination as the ability to see the relationship between personal problems and social issues. And he used the example of unemployment. If you are in a city of 100,000 people and one person is unemployed, that's a personal problem. If you're in that same city of 100,000 and 10,000 people are unemployed or 10% of your workforce, that's a social issue. There's something going on in that town, in that economy, that is generating the unemployment. I used to use this example with my students. I would say, if I turned in grades at the end of the semester and 40% of you failed, my dean would not come to me and say, "Boy, Dr. T, it's really too bad you have so many dummies in your classes this semester." He would say, "No." He would say, "Dr. T, what are you doing in your class that you're getting 40% of your students to fail? How is that possible?" He'd be looking to the environment, not to the individual students. That's the sociological imagination, looking at what's happening around us that is causing these social problems. So this perspective tells us that we need to look at the idea of, okay, where are we in time? We're born in a certain time period. We're born in a society where things are done in a particular way. And we are living our lives within those parameters, within those guidelines and those rules, unless we change the way we do things as a society. That, of course, is possible. The other piece to understand here is this tension between this idea, what sociologists call structure versus agency. And the agency piece is just really about we as humans have free will. We get to make choices. Given a free society where we're not unnecessarily restricted or repressed, we have a certain amount of latitude to make decisions. We can decide where to live. We can decide what kind of job to have. We can decide how we want to dress. We can decide who our friends are. We can decide who to marry, right? We have all these capacity to make decisions. But we also run up against the structure. And the structure is just a way of saying how we do things, what already exists. So we have cultural norms around things like race and gender and religion and so on. We have ways of doing things. We have the way we're organized politically as part of the structure, the way we're organized economically. We're a capitalist society. That's part of the structure. The economic circumstances that we're of the family that we're born into, that's part of the structure that we face when we come in. So we make our choices within the parameters of all of those things. Now, this idea that we are not completely free to make choices, that we are not totally in control, runs absolutely counter to this very, very strong idea we have in this culture that we call American individualism. This idea that I'm in control. I am the master of my own fate. I am the captain of my ship. I rise in this world or fall based on my own efforts, my smarts, whether I deserve it, whether I've worked hard enough, all of those things. And I'm here to say, nope, or at least not completely. While some things do change over time, and we can work on those and we can decide what we want to change and make those changes, you still have to live with things as they are right now. You have to live with certain constraints and make the best of them. So that's the tension between structure and agency, what we have versus what we are faced with, what we're born into versus what we can do within that. And that structure has an impact on our problems, whether we face certain problems. So if we go back to last episode, we were talking about divorce and the tensions and struggles that families are facing. One of the reasons is that it's very difficult to raise a family when you've got a single parent, perhaps, trying to do both paid work and taking care of a household and children, or two parents trying to keep down two jobs and raise a household and manage children. That's very difficult. We have not accommodated. The world of work still acts like every worker has somebody at home that's managing the household and taking care of the children. The world of work does not want to hear anything about family responsibilities. And so that makes it really difficult. So we could provide a context, a structure, a shift in how society runs that would make that easier. And we teased that a little bit last time. Paid parental leave for 6 to 12 months, let's say. Some countries in the world provide more than that. Guaranteed sick time for yourself and to use when your children are sick. Vacation time. Guaranteed health care, because a lot of people work jobs that don't have health care, as we've seen already in earlier podcasts. Assistance in caring for elderly family members. We are all living longer, and as we live longer, there's a greater chance we're going to have a certain period of time where we are a little more frail and need help and support. Most families want to take care of their elder family members themselves, but they don't have the support that they need, or they can't afford the support that they need to keep them out of, say, a nursing home. We also, of course, need to make sure that when there are times of particularly job loss, people can get an income through things like unemployment. They can get nutritional support through things like food stamps. As we said last time, we managed to do these things in World War II with community laundries, kitchens, and daycares. We can create an environment, a structure where it is easier, where families don't have to struggle the way we talked about last episode. We could make it easier. So that way we don't internalize these and take it on. What's wrong with me? That's the risk in keeping a personal problem perspective. Every individual family thinks, what's wrong with me that I cannot cope? I am too stressed. It's too much. Maybe the problem is you, right? Maybe the problem is between us. When for most people, it's really about the stressors that the rest of society, the societal changes, the shift in the economy have put on the family. Once we can see it that way, then the solutions, how we move forward, becomes a lot easier.